The title of this class is called Somatic Resources Part 1, and it'll contain tools you can use to create a feeling of centering and containment. And then Part 2 will be offered live in about a week or so. So this idea of somatic resource, the word soma or somatic means of the body. And a resource is anything that we do or can use so that we feel like we are in our bodies or can bring us back to our bodies. So there might be things that you already do that you consider to be those activities that bring you back into your body. But here are some specific ways you can do that. We're going to begin with this idea of centering. And so centering is anything that brings us back to our center. But what does that actually mean? So it's really finding our sense of relationship to gravity, into ground and space. So whenever we feel like life has knocked us off center, sometimes it's helpful to just take a moment even to just like be with yourself, to connect with yourself in some way. So that'll be the first experience we'll do. And then we'll move into some things that create containment. And if you think about containment, it's like our bodies, right, are our containers. They hold all of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. And sometimes when we feel maybe irritated or activated, maybe we're really busy and we've realized like there's just been one thing after another, our energy just might feel like it's spilling all over the place. And so we can again use our bodies as a way to create that sense of containment, of recognizing like how much we need to give, and is our energy going to actually meet the demands of what our lives are asking of us. So to begin, we're going to start with what's called a bodily check-in. And this is an opportunity to just take a snapshot of what your current experience is in your body at this particular moment in time, knowing that this picture can change from one moment to the next, from day to day, week to week, and so on. And we'll do our little practice, and then we'll come back to this bodily check-in as a way to see if what we feel has in fact changed or shifted in any way. And to know that the changes we experience, they might be very subtle, something that we can't actually pinpoint or describe. And so don't get so hung up on trying to find like the perfect description for what you're feeling. Just the act of bringing your attention kind of to these different domains in our bodies is really benefit in and of itself. So you can either begin seated. If you want to sit on the ground, that's fine. You could sit in a chair. If you also felt like you just needed to stand, you could also do this practice standing. So if you're in a place where you feel comfortable doing so, you might let your eyes close, or you could soften your focus so that you can really start to sense the interior space of your body. And we're going to start by letting our awareness take in like the physical structure of our body. So just noticing, right, the shape that your body is making currently. And then you also might notice if there is any particular physical sensation. So, is there a place in your body that feels like it's tense or there's holding? Maybe it feels like there's a bit of constriction or compression. And again, you're just taking note of it. You don't have to analyze it or judge it in any way or try to change what you're feeling. And then on the opposite side of that, you might notice if there are any places in your body that feel easeful or spacious. Maybe it holds a sense of freedom and ease. You also might notice if there's any sort of texture to the sensation that you feel. Is there maybe a color associated with it or a temperature? Maybe even a shape. And then let your attention come to the space of your mind. So you might take note of how rapidly thoughts are flowing into your mind. Do your thoughts maybe jump kind of here and there and all over the place? Or are your thoughts a little bit more spacious? And you might also notice the content of your thoughts. So what are the things that you are thinking about at this time? And now let your attention come to your breath. And you can tune into, again, the quality of your breath. So does the breath feel like it's moving fast or slow? Does it feel like it's a little shallow? Or does your inhale and exhale maybe feel like it's lengthened? And to know that oftentimes our breath gives us information about what's going on in terms of what's happening physically, but also mentally, and then energetically as well. And what I mean by energy or energetically is that maybe you feel sort of bright and energized. Maybe you feel a little bit more heavy or lethargic, tired. Maybe that energy is restless and quick. So once you kind of have that general sense of what you're currently feeling in your body, you can open your eyes if your eyes are closed. And we're going to start just by bringing a little bit of movement into the spine. So again, you can do this seated on the ground, in a chair, or standing as well. So we're going to start to what's called, sometimes in yoga, it's called cat and cow. So it's this movement of the spine where you're creating some extension through the back, and then there's a rounding of the back as you kind of draw in. So just start to let your spine shift. So really finding a sense of lift through the heart. Maybe your lower back draws in. And then as you exhale, you can soften the front body, round your body. Maybe let your chin drop towards your chest. And then do that a couple of times. So really letting that space across the collarbones broaden. And then as you exhale, it's like you're curling in to yourself. As you drop chin to chest, your lower back can round. Kind of let your shoulders slump forward. And again, you can move at your own pace now, so sometimes it's good to move a little bit more quickly, or you can move slowly, but just start to explore that movement of your spine. Right, and so this can actually allow us to create some containment, because we're feeling into the back body each time, right, we come forward and back. You might even notice that the shoulder blades squeeze together and then widen apart. Good. Nice. And then you can bring that movement to a close. You can stretch your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, you're going to take your left fingertips down towards the ground, or if you're standing, you can just bring your left arm by your side. And then find a side bend here, so opening up the sides of your spine and the sides of your waist, your torso. And then here you're going to flow from side to side. And again, you can make this your own, really connecting to your own internal rhythm as you do move. And you might notice that as you come over to one side, it might feel good to maybe like kind of reach and stretch through those lifted fingertips, and maybe even rocking forward and back a little bit. Right, really finding some extension, reaching out into the space around you. Just kind of seeing what's there. And do a couple more just side to side, or again, finding some stillness. Good. And then you can come back up through center. And now we'll twist the spine. So one last movement. So this is something you can, keep your hands on your legs and just kind of twist from side to side here. If you're standing and you want to kind of let your arms just kind of move into the twist with your torso, that's fine. If you're seated in a chair, you might even bring your elbows out into what we sometimes call cactus arms or goalpost arms, and you can twist that way. So whatever, feels right to you, just twisting from side to side. Again, make it your own. So if that pace feels a little too quick, right, slow it down. And all the while, right, noticing if this movement is a resource for you at all. So is it doing what you want it to do? So if we were trying to create that feeling of centering or containment, is it doing that? Right. And then bring that movement back to a close. And take this moment to pause. Right? Just kind of notice what's there. So, right, moving the body can change, how we feel in our body. So is there new sensation that's present for you to pay attention to? So now that we've brought some movement into the back body, we're going to connect in a little bit more of a solid way. So if you're sitting in a chair, I want you to really lean back into that chair so that you feel your back, right, connected to the back of your chair. If you're standing, you can come and stand against a wall. If you're seated on the ground, you can even just slide, yourself up to a wall or back to a wall, depending. And you don't necessarily have to do anything here. If it's possible to have your head pressing against the wall, do so. But just see if you can feel the contact boundary. Probably it's your upper back and your head against the wall. Oh, I didn't even say, you could also lie down on the ground. That would be the most obvious choice. Yeah, you could lie down on the ground and do this as well. But just take a moment and really feel, right, the solid support of that surface underneath you, whether it's the chair, a wall, or the ground. And if having your head back is creating any tension in the shoulders, you don't have to worry about that. You might even feel good to drop your chin towards your chest. And come back to your breath in a way where you almost feel as though you could breathe into the wall or the ground underneath you. So then let yourself come away from the wall, or if you're on the ground, you can come back to standing or your seat. And see if you can still feel, right, the memory of that support in your upper back. And again, noticing if that served as a resource for you. And then the next thing we're going to do is another way of creating containment is very simply, you're going to take your arms and just wrap your arms around yourself. Now sometimes it's nice to, I have a yoga block here. You could use something like a yoga block and just kind of press that into your front body. You could take a blanket or a pillow and then hug that pillow, blanket. Oh, it could even be a book, you know, really anything that again gives you that sense of feedback. And I'm going to use the blanket. This feels really nice and supportive for me. And then just like kind of give yourself a hug, essentially. And as you're doing this, right, this is what we might call self-touch or self-contact. Right, as you're allowing yourself to hold yourself in a sense, is it possible to direct a sense of kindness to yourself? That interesting little note that when we do this kind of hugging of ourselves, our brain doesn't necessarily interpret it as being different than hugging another person. So kind of gives us that same nourishment that we might need. Right. All right. So we're going to do two more things here. You can place, if you're using any sort of prop, off to the side. And we're going to give ourselves a little massage. So starting kind of right at your skull, you can use the tips of your fingers and kind of just gently massage your skull using enough pressure. So another way to create centering and containment is to actually feel, right, the boundary of your body. So just kind of feeling, right, your skull Massaging maybe into that lower part of your skull. It's called the occipital ridge, where it meets your neck. I'm just kind of like using my thumbs behind there. And then you can sweep your fingers across your forehead, right? Softening maybe that furrow between your eyebrows. And then down towards your temples, just massaging little circles there. And then down to the hinges of your jaw. You can circle and massage the hinges of your jaw. And then coming back to like right behind the ears and the jaw, just kind of a tender spot there. At least that's how it feels in my body. Massage there. And then massage your ears so thumbs can kind of come inside of the ears a little bit and just drawing your thumbs out. Maybe a little tug on your earlobes. And then you can massage your neck, maybe like the sides of your neck, the scalenes here. You can even do like a little pinching action if you want, feeling those like ropey muscles in the front of your neck. And then coming to the tops of your shoulders, you might just kind of rub the trapezius muscles right along the tops of the shoulders. Good, and then kind of down along your arms. Maybe squeezing your hands. And then coming to lie down on your back if you're not already there, coming back to seated. You can bring one hand to your heart or the region of your heart, your chest, and one hand to your low belly. You could also bring both of your hands to your low belly or even bring one hand to your solar plexus, so that place where your ribs kind of flare out to either side. And then feel the weight and that gentle pressure of your hands to your body. You might feel maybe the hands are a little bit warm from doing that massage. And then see if you can intentionally start to deepen your breath so that you feel the palms of the hands maybe slightly moving with each inhale and each exhale. And so you have, right, the contact of your hands to your body. If you're lying down, you have the contact of your body to the ground. You might even notice the contact of your seat to the chair or to the ground. If you're doing this standing, feel your feet connected to the ground. And then feel the breath, right, as it makes contact from the inside out. So feeling the boundary of your skin moving with your breath. And so as I mentioned at the beginning, we'll end with doing that bodily check-in again. So if you want to keep your hands resting on your body, you can, or you can bring them down to your lap, or maybe come back to that kind of self-hug that we did earlier. Wherever you are, come back to what you feel physically. So noticing physical sensation. Again, is there tension, holding, stiffness, or is there maybe a vibrancy or an aliveness that wasn't there before? Notice the quality and content of your mind, so the pace of your thoughts, then what are you thinking about? Notice the quality and pace of your breath. And finally, notice maybe just an overall quality of your energy now. And those changes that you feel, they might be subtle, maybe not so subtle. Or maybe that you feel somewhat neutral. Like maybe not so much has changed or shifted at all. And to be okay with that. Great. So I hope that there are a few ideas, little things you could use throughout your day, that if you ever need to feel more centered and contained as a way to self-regulate and to really just kind of feel more available and more present for yourself and for others, that these little tools can help.